3 weeks ago, I made a 6-minute video where I predicted some of the titles that I thought we'd be getting in Switch 2's first year, but that video was in mid-February, and we still have a very long way to go for the April 2nd event. But now, it's mid-March, and we've only got just over half a month to wait, with excitement and anticipation rising day by day, and with more and more leaks flooding in. But that's not the only thing that's affected my predictions, because across the past 3 weeks, since I made that video, there's been several new developments that have changed a lot of my predictions significantly. The first of these new developments was the Pokemon Presents, where they released a full trailer for Legends ZA, which looks rubbish by the way, announced a 2025 Switch 1 release for it, and even announced Pokemon Champions, which is also set to be a Switch 1 title. I'm not sure if these games will get a better quality version for Switch 2, or if they'll be just sold as Switch games you can play on Switch 2 through backwards compatibility, but regardless of that, we know these games won't be cross-gen titles, because they weren't marketed with the new system and are advertised with Switch 1 branding in mind. Another new development that affects these predictions doesn't actually come from Nintendo, it comes from Sega. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds was dropped early last week, and to be honest, it does look really cool, but I really, and I mean really, don't like the fact that people are labeling this a Mario Kart competitor. Sonic Racing will never be Mario Kart, or vice versa, and that goes for all comparisons between Mario and Sonic. Mario and Sonic are completely different things, and people need to start seeing it that way, because I think the whole reason why Sonic hasn't succeeded as much as Mario isn't actually the fact that Sega doesn't make consoles anymore, it's the fact that people are always comparing him to Mario. People will buy Sonic Racing Cross Worlds because they like Sonic, and specifically Sonic Racing. I think the only way people will treat this as an alternative to Mario Kart is if the new Mario Kart comes out with a really failed gimmick or a selection of really bad tracks, like if they release Mario Circuit 3 with like 48 times. And I don't know about you guys, but I can't really see this happening. What Sonic Racing Cross Worlds does confirm, though, is that the new Mario Kart will most likely be called Mario Kart 9 now, because now Nintendo can't really name it Mario Kart Crossroads, and I think Mario Kart X is also unlikely because it also has the cross element to it. For me, this is good news, because I kind of think 9 is the logical option. The last big development was Mario's 40th anniversary, where Nintendo strangely didn't announce, well, anything. This now makes me believe something big is coming for Mario sooner rather than later. In 2025, on the year of his 40th anniversary. These three things have changed my Switch 2 predictions completely, which is why I'm doing this updated version. Welcome back to the Nintendo chat room, where today I'll be predicting the first party games that could come within the first year of the Switch 2's lifecycle. In this video, I'll be covering the titles I think we could see in the fiscal year of 2025, which spans from launch day to March of 2026. For each game I predict, I'll also predict whether it'll be a launch title, holiday title, or early 2026 title. So, without further ado, let's get straight to it. So, I'll start by predicting all the new titles that will come from the Mario universe. This includes any game with Mario in it, and also games from characters that are linked to the Mario universe, even though they're kind of like their own thing, such as like Donkey Kong. So kicking off the Mario games with the only Switch 2 game that's actually been confirmed, Mario Kart 9. We've been waiting 11 years for a new Mario Kart, so I was obviously thrilled when this finally got revealed. This game's definitely coming in 2025, and it'll most likely be a launch title, since it's literally the only game that was teased in the console's trailer. This is obviously a good move, because, 8 Deluxe is the highest selling Switch game by far, and the 6th highest grossing video game of all time. I think it's pretty obvious why this is a good move. I guess they could release this game as a holiday title, but I don't really see Nintendo doing that and wasting a big sales opportunity at launch. I think it would be ridiculous to think it'll come with 96 tracks at launch, especially since we can still play 8 Deluxe on Switch 2 thanks to backwards compatibility. But I also think we can all agree that seeing only 32 tracks would be underwhelming, so I'm going to say there'll either be 40 or 48 tracks at launch, but they'll add more content as time goes on, slowly making this the biggest Mario Kart. So yeah, the new Mario Kart is obviously coming in 2025, and I'll be surprised if we don't get this as a launch title. And now, for the game that is now practically confirmed without actually being confirmed, the new 3D Mario. I mean, come on, it's not been confirmed, but it's been 8 years since Odyssey. It's Mario's 40th anniversary year. Nintendo were very quiet on Mario Day, and we've even gotten a sneak peek of the open world approach for the new game in the small package of Bowser's Fury. I could go on and on, listing all the reasons why this game's definitely coming, but I won't, because there's no reality where this game doesn't come in the first year of the Switch 2, and I also believe this is coming in 2025 as a holiday title. This game simply has to be the big thing that makes 40 years of Mario. I don't see it coming at launch though, because Nintendo has always succeeded with 3D Mario games as holiday titles. Now, I'm going to add a game that wasn't actually in my previous prediction video. I've discussed Mario Kart and the 3D Mario, and we know we're not getting 2D Mario, but what about some of the other spin-offs? Well, we know we're not getting a new Mario Party or a new Mario RPG in the first year of Switch 2. Those will come later, because those have recent entries that will be backwards compatible anyway. So that leaves the Mario Sports games, a subsection of spin-offs within the Mario franchise that all peaked at the GameCube era and have kind of struggled ever since. But I actually see a possibility of revival for the Mario Sports games with newer hardware, so for my prediction of a launch title that shows off the Switch 2's performance, I'm gonna go with Mario Tennis. It's been a while since Aces, and I think the Mario Tennis series has been on kind of a redemption arc after the failure of Ultra Smash. I can see Nintendo doing a lot with a new installment of Mario Tennis, especially since the possibilities for game modes are practically endless with this game. I think the fun and simplicity of Mario Tennis compared to other Mario sports games is also a big selling point for casual audiences, and it'll appeal to them more if it's one of the games playable at launch. So that's all the games in my prediction with Mario in it. But there's a few other characters who are a frequent part of the Mario universe that I think will get new games too, starting with Luigi. I think Luigi's Mansion 4 is probably coming to the Switch 2 in its first year as well, given the success of Luigi's Mansion 3 on Switch, which by the way, has better sales figure than the Wii U, a literal console. I mean, that's hilarious. Just like with Mario Tennis, I think a new Luigi's Mansion will be a great showcase of the new hardware, but I don't think it's coming in 2025 as a launch or holiday title because it would overlap with the new Mario Kart and the new 3D Mario, but I also think it should come early in the life cycle because of it succeeded like early on in the life cycle of the Switch. So I'm guessing this will be announced late this year and will release in early 2026. I guess it could be a holiday title, but then you have the risk of overlapping with the new 3D Mario, or even the game that I'm going to talk about next, or maybe even they're still trying to push sales of Mario Kart 9 at this point as well. So I don't think they released Luigi's Mansion as a holiday title. The other character I think will get a game in the first year of Switch 2 is, of course, Donkey Kong. It's been 11 years since Tropical Freeze. You heard me right, 11 years, and I wouldn't consider a basic port of Returns, where they didn't even credit the original company who made the game, to be new. No, I'm talking about an actual new Donkey Kong made from scratch, with a new Donkey Kong design revealed in the Mario Kart 9 teaser, and a new DK ride in Nintendo's new theme park in Super Nintendo World. Most of us will agree it's safe to say that the return of Donkey Kong is on the horizon, or should I say, a return of the return. I think that they might do a 3D approach with this, kind of like a Donkey Kong 64 but in 3D. They could also make like they also could go for like a 3D world style approach to Donkey Kong Country, so they could make like Donkey Kong 3D Country and bring Donkey Kong Country into the third dimension. I'd also love to see like the Switch Online features come back as well, and with this new game we'd now be able to play every single Donkey Kong game that has ever existed. So I think this new game will do well as a launch title, not a holiday title, as it would appeal to the Donkey Kong fanbase, which is pretty big, who have waited over a decade for a new game. So that's all for like Mario or Mario adjacent or Link to Mario characters. I guess Yoshi could get a new game, but Crafted World didn't do very well. Maybe like a Yoshi's Island, maybe like a new Yoshi's Island. It could be 2D or 3D to keep another. Yes, I'm suggesting another platformer, but I'm not sure if I can see that happening. I'm not quite sure, so I'm not actually going to predict it. But I could see Yoshi getting a new game as well. Maybe a Peach game? I don't know. But, moving on from Mario, as for the Zelda franchise, we know we're not getting a new 3D Zelda. We just recently got Tears of the Kingdom, and these games take 5 to 7 years to make. We also know we're not getting a new 2D Zelda, because we just got Echoes of Wisdom. But we get something from the Zelda franchise every year, and there's no way they'd make an exception for the first year of the new system. So, what are we getting? I predict a modern, open world remake to a 3D Zelda game in 4K. It could be any of them, from Ocarina of Time to Breath of the Wild. For the old ones, if they're remaking an old one, they'd have to really recreate the world and change a lot of elements if they choose to do so. But a remake of those proportions could be a really good way to show how much better the new hardware is. They might even choose to make a higher quality version of Breath of the Wild, which could also display the Switch 2's improved performance. Obviously, a remake that shows the improvement jump of the new system would be a launch title. Now, I said we're not getting a new 2D Zelda, but I also could see like a remake of an old 2D Zelda game. I could see like a Link to the Past remade, and if that happens, I'm predicting that as a holiday title. I genuinely see it happening, to be honest. Like a 3D Zelda remake as a launch title, and a 2D Zelda remake as a holiday title. Now, as for Pokemon, we talked about this earlier, but my predictions have changed now that we know Legends EA and Pokemon Champions are being marketed as Switch 1 titles, which will be backwards compatible on Switch 2. I don't see Gen 10 coming until holiday 2026, because that's how it goes, and we're getting Legends games this year, but I'm 100% sure that Pokemon will give us an exclusive Switch 2 game for holiday 2025 to fill the gap between Legends EA and Pokemon Champions and Gen 10. And of course, it would probably be a black and white remake. And why am I saying this? Nintendo have remade the old games in order, and Gen 5 is just next on the list. And honestly, I hope they try to put more effort into the remake rather than making another exact copy of the old games with a chibi art style like what they did with the Gen 4 remakes. I'm pretty sure they'll probably release Legends EA and Pokemon Champions in the summer, which means that Gen 5 remakes would be logically holiday titles. We'll probably be getting a few new IPs at the launch of the system as well, showing off new mechanics. The new IPs released on GameCube, which was Pikmin, Wii, which was Wii Sports, and Wii U, which was Nintendo Land and Splatoon, all ended up becoming fan favourites, but the only ones that came to Switch weren't really all that interesting or successful. I mean, does anyone play ARMS and enjoy it? Does anyone really care about 1-2 Switch? I think they really made a mistake with these games. They tried to get too gimmicky with it. But like Wii Sports was gimmicky in a simple way, whereas these ones were trying to take a gimmick to a difficult level that didn't appeal to anyone. So I really hope that Nintendo release some hits with the Switch 2. And by hits, I mean games that anyone can enjoy, games that actually get big. I think they can really do that with new hardware. They can really push the boundaries of new IPs, and I'm excited to see something, better than ARMS. Now, a franchise that we haven't talked about is Super Smash Bros. Do I see a Super Smash Bros. Game coming in 2025 or early 2026? No, I don't. I think they only just leaked that a new Smash Bros. Game was in development. I think and Ultimate was like early mid through the Switch lifecycle, and it had a lot of content to it. And I mean, how do you make an improvement of Ultimate? They're gonna have to do a lot of work with that. I hope they don't try to do an improvement of Ultimate. I hope they try to go for something different. But again, I don't see Super Smash Bros. Coming in 2025, 2026. I may predict 2027 or 2028. That would be like midway through the life cycle, or early midway through the life cycle. Anyway guys, there you have it. My updated game predictions for the first year of the Nintendo Switch 2. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any predictions of your own, feel free to comment them down below. So unfortunately guys, I won't be able to make episode 4 of the Nintendo Spy Summoner just yet. Episode 3 and episode 2 went really well, but I don't actually yet have any hot takes for episode 2. So guys, if you have any hot takes, any at all, related to Nintendo, comment it down below. Don't worry, no one will like criticize you or like throw you off the internet if you have like a terrible take. You can also join my new server, Nintendo Chat Room, the chat room. It's a small server for now, but it has a lot of stuff, and you can like suggest videos, give me editing tips, and give your hot takes for the Spiceometer on the server as well. The link to it will be down below in the description. My next video will probably be a topic video instead of a Spiceometer video. I don't know. It could be a Zelda themed one, a Donkey Kong themed one, a Mario themed one, or a Pokemon themed one. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for it, guys. I'll see you guys then. And see you guys then.